Welcome to Discovering. It's week 2 of Big Buck Nights here on the show. Brian Whitens from 906 Outdoors joins us from Rapid River Knifeworks with their Big Buck Extravaganza.
Here's one out of Menominee County, 20-inch inside.
And then I'm off to Crystal Falls for BuckFest.
A hard morning hunting on opener.
So sit back and relax. It's Monday night and it's time for Upper Michigan's very own Discovering.
The secret streams that flow beneath the cliffs of colored stone. Forest thick and healthy with birch and pine and oak. Surrounded by the greatest lakes this world has ever known. The black bear's awesome presence as he roams the hills and fields. Call of the timber wolf, the loon's lonesome trill, the eagle soaring high above, the trout lies deep and still. These are what I treasure, the only way I measure feelings that I have for this fine land. There is so much to discover when you're a long-time lover of northern Michigan.
It's our 4th annual Big Buck Extravaganza at Rapid River Knifeworks. Main reason we do this is to bring the community together, families, generations, all in one spot on one night. It's just it's a great night, a great opportunity for little guys to come and tell their story about their deer and just continue the tradition of hunting in the Upper Peninsula is what it's all about.
Friday opening morning, maybe about 7:30 a.m.-ish. It was when we first got in the blind, me, my dad, and my little sister. And all of a sudden my dad poked me and was like, "Get ready, Madison." And I'm like, okay. And then I see the buck come in, but I don't know it was an 8-pointer yet. I thought it was maybe a 6-pointer or something. And I shot it right behind the shoulder. My dad's like, "Did you get it?" And I'm like, "I think so." He went to go look for it. He's seen blood and fur and blood on trees. So then me and my little sister went with him. I found the arrow. So then we called over my other uncle and my papa and told them that I shot a spike and we need help finding it, even though my dad already knew where it was. We flipped it so you could see the horns, and my papa and my uncle were like, "Oh my gosh, Madison," and then that's it.
Okay, here's one out of Menominee County. Nice 8, 20-inch inside, 22 outside. Nice buck.
So we've got an incredible turnout tonight, a lot of really nice bucks, and it's fairly early right now. We've got over $10,000 in raffle prizes. It's free for the public. You don't even have to have a deer to win. We've got a total of 11 firearms, crossbow, probably 30 knives, and there's another raffle too that's all basket raffles and everything else. It's all completely free to enter. We've got some great sponsors. We couldn't do this without them. So the winner tonight, the largest buck, is going to win a 30-30 lever action side gate Henry from Jay Sporting Goods in Clare, Michigan. So we've got people from all over the place. They're pouring in by the hundreds at this point, so it's going to be a great night.
I shot him about 30 minutes into daylight opening morning. I had 3 does in before he had come in, and I saw him walking in. It was probably over a 100-yard shot, and it took me 3 shots to get him down. I hit him all 3 times, but the first shot I hit him and he didn't move, he didn't even budge. So the second one I shot again and he started to walk, so then I really started to panic. Then he turned broadside again and I hit him in the shoulders and he dropped. But I thought my gun was off, and my dad and I had walked out there and I hit him all 3 times, but he was just a tough sucker. He was after them does. Thanks, this is the biggest buck I've ever shot. We haven't measured him yet, but he is a 10. My dad shot that one second day right out of my blind, and my uncle shot this one 20 minutes after I shot mine. And I said the guys have to pay me to gut theirs because some of them don't do blood.
Chasing a doe. Did he come to your bait? Came to the bait and tried to eat.
And you and your mom?
Me and Mom seen him and I shot him.
Probably 11:35 after I had some chores to do in the morning when I was supposed to be sitting, and I went out there, really beautiful day, sunny. I fell asleep and I ended up passing out until 2, a little after, maybe somewhere in 2:15, and I was getting the cobwebs cleared and something made me look out the window, and he was standing 15 yards from me, and he just ended up coming right out, right in front of me, and ended up shooting him with the bow at 23 yards. Watched him for 4 years. I knew about this buck. He was a mainframe 8-pointer last year. So he developed this kick, this one, and this. Last year I passed on him at 30 yards. He had the left side was completely snapped off at the base. So I opted to pass on him, and next year went in hard, and it happened. Midday, 2:30 in the afternoon, just unbelievable. It's 11-pointer. Roughly 17.5 inches wide, rough scored, barely under 150.
Okay, a little bit of scoring here. Basically, we're scoring with the Boone Crockett system. Details 4 circumference measurements per side, length of point, length in main beam, and length and inside measurement. We're doing a total gross score with no deductions tonight. And this one here would actually probably go into a non-typical class because of the 3 non-typical points. Well, like this non-typical point here, you had to determine which one was the brow. This would be the brow tine matching. These 2 would be the non-typical point. This point would start from here and go down with a baseline across. This point would be measured to a baseline from this curvature across to this curvature here. So you come down and stop right here for that point length. My point length for this non-typical point would stop right down here. Then as far as this non-typical point over here, you would measure it with a straight line across right to that point there. Now all typical points, basically, you would mark a line with the curvature coming across from this point to this point here, and then you measure down to that point line, and that would be giving you a length of your typical point. Circumferences are measured between these 4 locations to the smallest 1/8 inch. So you gotta slide your ruler back and forth to find the smallest point. Beam length, you start basically where the eye socket is. You'll come around to the center of the beam, and you curve right up, and right to this point here. To make that measurement, you use a cable with a cable clip. It makes it a lot easier to follow the curvatures. Then after you got both sides done, you tally up your score. Now as far as the deductions come in the part on the typical frame only. So what you're doing, you're comparing this typical point to that point. Whatever the difference is, that it would be a deduction for the final score, as with this point and that point. All non-typical points are added to the final score if it qualifies for the non-typical class. And normally you have to have 12.5 inches of non-typical point to go non-typical, otherwise they end up being deductions on you. Tonight they're going by gross score, and this was gross, I believe, was 160 5/8. That total antler. So far, it's the biggest one scored so far tonight.
Back in the fall of 2019, was trying to figure out a way to bring several UP companies together with the same type of product. I had an old Stormy Kromer hat, so I needed to replace it, so I thought, I either replace this hat or I sew it into the sheath. And the second I saw it, I knew that we needed to do this. So we teamed up with Stormy Kromer, bring a 24, and wanted to build this knife because it just says everything about the UP. It's just like Grandpa's knife, just like Dad's knife. Very classic. This knife has Upper Peninsula written all over it. So we're only doing 500 of these knives. Each one comes with a certificate of authenticity, and every knife will have a serial number on the back, and then the serial number will also go on the back side of the certificate. It comes in a nice envelope and a really nice box. So very collectible, probably my favorite collaboration so far, and we work with over 1,000 companies on making knives. So this is definitely the coolest one.
So we were hunting until like 11. We weren't seeing anything. My dad goes, "You ready to go?" And I said, "Sure." So we left. We went back to camp. My dad went to the bathroom. We checked his phone or his camera, and we seen this thing in there. So we hurried back to get back to the blind. Well, as soon as we got in there, we started calling it in. 2 minutes later, it came in there, and yeah, like it wasn't stopping. So my dad was going run, run, and I was shaking super bad. So I didn't have the best shot, but it only went 30 yards. It scored 145, and it's a 10-pointer.
Well, my dad, he was sitting in the chair. So then he woke me up when dawn came. So me and him switched seats, and around 11:30, he was doing something off in his own land. And I said, "Dad, get me my gun. There's a deer in the bait pile." And at first I was like, "I can't do this, it's impossible." And then he's like, "Just breathe, you got this." So then I started really shaking, like really bad. But then I pulled the trigger and he dropped at the pile. And I was halfway out the blind by the time my dad was standing up out of his seat. So yeah, that was fun. It is my first buck. My dad got 2 and I got that 1. And it's the heaviest of all of them. And my dad got a 7 and a 8.
Just sitting there in my Batman Lucky pajamas, and he walked in a little after 5 o'clock, and he was turned with his butt towards me. In the last second, he turned and I shot him. He is a 9-point, 18 and a half on the inside, and he scored at 133 and 3/8.
Well, I've been hunting this property for about 2 years. It's a large parcel of commercial forest land. I've been hunting it hard for about 2 years. I've been scouting quite a bit. I scouted all last winter, all last spring. Just, I wanted to know where these bucks were bedding, where they were feeding. The hardest thing was the timing and waiting till I had the right wind, the right conditions, and making a precision strike. You're in, you're out, and you leave that spot for a year. I went in, I spent all morning trying to find my tree. I'm a mobile hunter. I slid up the tree with my bee stand, got set up. 4:30 he walked out, and I shot him at 18 yards. He ran about 10 yards, stopped. I was able to collect myself, knock another arrow, and as he's walking away, I was able to make a more effective shot. The buck went 220 yards, and he died in his first bed, and that was it. So it was an incredible story of patience.
You know the saying, it takes a village.
In this case, it's the village of Crystal Falls coming together to make BuckFest happen again this year.
An event like this takes a lot of hard work, and Steve and Nicole, I gotta really give a special nod to. Superior Sport and Feed, they are the meat and potatoes of this operation, and they need all the help they can get, so as a club we just wanted to help out. I'm hoping to see that buck pole filled up. It's a little early in the night, busy day for Crystal Falls. Our high school football team was in Marquette today for the state championship game, which they did win, so a lot of our people are that way. And the hunters are still in the woods, so it shouldn't take long and the buck pole will be filled up. That's what I really want to see, a lot of people here. There's tons of sponsors, and they have a lot of good items that they gift and donate. So to show a really good showing of people is really beneficial to this event, because we want to keep it going for forever.
I met Browning a couple years ago at BuckFest, and he was successful again this year.
I was playing a game on my phone after sitting for 4 days without getting not even seeing a deer. And then I looked up from my phone and there's 4 does standing there in the bait pile. I was gonna shoot the biggest, but there was a little one right behind it the whole time. Could not get a shot, and they were about to go away. So I got on that one right here. She was the next biggest, put it right behind the shoulder, squeezed. It went off. I couldn't see because of the muzzle flash. And then I was gonna try to do it all this year by myself without Dad. That didn't work. I followed blood and then I just lost all the blood. Oh, no. I had a really good blood trail and there was just drops. It's like, oh no. So I went and got Dad. We found it and then he helped me gut it out and drag it.
Well, I was sitting in my stand and I saw a doe come in and he was kind of on her and I shot and I got him.
I got it at 11 this morning. Me and Kevin here were sitting in the blind and we were watching, didn't see anything but blue jays and squirrels, and I told him, do you want to go back to camp and take a nap? And he said, nope. 5 minutes later, I'm like, Kev, there's a deer in the pile, and we look and I put the scope up and I said, do you think Mom should shoot it? And he's like, yep. And I saw the 3 points on the one side and I said, plug your ears, and got him down right then and there. Didn't even run a bit. So my boys have been hunting hours on end, and he was my good luck charm.
I was up in my deer blind, and this is my first year, and I've never shot a deer before. And I'm sitting up there, and it walks out, and it's almost the end. It's like we were about to leave, but it was still daylight out. And it walks out, and I just took the shot because I didn't think I was gonna hit it perfect, but I was gonna just take the shot. So I took it, and I got it. I thought it just ran away, and I didn't hit it right, but it just ran a little bit and then fell.
Oh, awesome. So it was a good shot then.
Yeah.
That's your first deer ever?
Yeah.
Awesome. Are you gonna go hunting again?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Did you like it?
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Who would you go hunting with?
My dad.
Yeah. Was he pretty excited?
Yeah. Me and him were both shaking.
13-year-old Reese brought in her very first deer, a dandy 10-point buck.
It was a hard morning hunting on opener. We thought the deer would be moving in the afternoon with the moon and all. So Dad goes to take Mason home and me and Grandpa go out, and this guy just walked in alone. He wouldn't turn broadside, so he was just getting ready to run when I shot him.
How far did he go?
75 yards.
Well, congrats. Are you going to go hunting again?
Probably.
Probably. What did you like about it?
Just everything, being out there.
Congrats to all the successful deer hunters this season. And congrats to the Forest Park Trojans on your victory in the state football championship. Brian and I covered a total of 5 big buck nights and talked to a lot of successful hunters. We may have went a bit overboard this year, but it's all great stuff, and we love seeing and hearing the hunting stories. I have one more big buck night to share with you from Hardcore Outfitters in Iron Mountain, but that won't be for a couple of weeks, because next week I have a great story from the rocking chair camp that I visited on opening day of deer season. So stay tuned for that next Monday. That's all for tonight, and I hope to see you right back here next week for Upper Michigan's very own Discovering.